from the Big Apple of New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Lester, the real thing Jackson. All the way from Samoa, ladies and gentlemen, here is David, the Terminator Tua.
Okay, gentlemen, I touch clean, pressure, twice. Protect yourself at all times. Anything hit over here is okay. You good? All right. Touch rod, go back.
As David Tua comes in, New Jersey rules, 10-point must, standing 8 count, 3 knockdown, can't be saved by the bell. Referee and the doctor both can stop the fight here in New Jersey. As run away, David Tua again in the blue, and we welcome our viewers on Sky from New Zealand this afternoon in watching our action from Atlantic City on the Cedric Kushner Sports Network. Magnola, Tua again trying to work himself inside on Lester Jackson. Jackson with a pretty good reach there, 76-70. He'll have a reach advantage.
Hey, Lester Jackson's trying to get stuck. Want him coming to him with reckless abandon. David Becker him early here, but this is a battle that David Tua has in every fight. He's used to being the shorter man in there fighting in that crouch, and he's just going to try to work past that jab and work on that body. He hasn't had much success thus far. Let's see how long Lester Jackson can.
You know, Lou Duba has been around so many great fighters in his illustrious career, and every time he talks about David Tua, he seems to bubble. He really likes this kid. On 6 first-round knockouts, 3 in the second, and a 2 in the third round. So again, doing the 2, he's really got a scowl on his face here.
Yeah, Lester, you know, he's an older guy. He's been around the fight card, and because of Samson Cohen pulling out of David Tua,
Jackson, the real thing, has paid dividends. Also being a southpaw, 200 pounds.
Well, Lester's done a very good job here early, keeping the distance between the two of them, but had been prepared for a 6, succeeded in having it.
The fair thing to do is Jackson still at the end of 1. Heavyweight explosion comes to you from Harrah's Hotel Casino, Atlantic City, as David Tua is back here in the blue against Lester Jackson. They're fighting in a Schedule 8-rounder. Jackson again just elevated to the status of this cold feature opponent. He really is kind of a laid-back type young man. He says, hey, I'll just prepare myself, and they got to beat me. I'm just going to go in and do what I'm supposed to do.
He's gonna pressure guys, and you know what to do. This is going to be a long 8-round day for Lester here with David Tua.
Body 6'1", 296. Tua, by the way, if you're wondering, were those 12 knockouts and 13 for 72 wins by knockout. Not a lot of where he fights out of right now. Does a little bit of training down in your neck of the woods.
Been down to Florida and maybe even in Norfolk where Purnell. Things that impressed Shelley and Lou about David Tua early was, you know, even he's got no size added there, so they were excited about his prospects in the professional rank.
A long reach advantage, able to loop over the top and throw some combinations. Shelley that Bob alluded to is Shelley Finkel, who co-manages along with Lou Duba. David Tua.
There. From the breeze of that blow that
last year won a 4-round decision over Tony Frazier. And again, his record
this time David Tua reaches Lester Jackson with a right hand and another big right hand there to end the second round.
Third round coming out with the heavyweights. Lester Jackson first 2 rounds with these 2 guys so far.
Yeah, I mean, Lester Jackson did almost all the scoring in the first round, and some good solid shots, because I'm sure just where he wants. I mean, this Tua we've seen it before. He's got the kind of power that just locks guys' legs at the knees and sends them flying. So he you know, that's the kind
as he can. Thrown by 2 on his way in. I've got a feeling that Tua somewhere along the way as he sides of the body here, trying to hook some shots to the body before the day is over. If he can.
What we see happening is it's very common when the southpaw fights a right hand. Tony Orlando got tangled up in that a little bit as Lester Jackson tried to back up there. He wants to do body, head, upstairs, downstairs.
By the way, one of Jackson's leg probably outweighs Tony.
Sitting up against those ropes so he can work, and there's no way for them to back up. And here he's landing some good solid shots on Lester Jackson as Lester answers back, but doesn't have any kind of a thunder on his punches.
Less than 6 rounds here with David Tua. Outside of that, it's been all by knockouts. That fight was in November of '93 and was a 6-round decision win by David Tua. 13-0. And there you see why. Beautiful combination. The body shot started sending Jackson down. He drops in the corner. Tony Orlando again with the discretion of a standing 8 count. And the fact that the gloves there's the bell to end the third round. City brings you round number 4 of a Schedule 8 rounder. Lester Jackson against David Tua. Tua with his back to you again has put Jackson down for the only knockdown so far. Tony Orlando, the referee. Jackson had to take the count, even though the bell sounded. The round would officially end. The bell did not save him, nor did they automatically go to the corner. Again, he has to complete the 8 count. And at the discretion of the referee, say that he is able to continue, and then the round is...
Lester, he tried to pull Lester Jackson off of holding David Tua, and he almost got thrown across the ring. There wrestling with these guys. He's trying to handle them with voice command.
I wouldn't be surprised he's not saying Mr. I don't think he does.
Yes, I don't know if we're going to get to see it today if he does. But Lester sitting here, you know, he's going to work those shots to the body and then work his way up to the head, which he was so successful with at the end of the last round.
He's trying to do the best to keep those rib cages covered up pretty good.
Off him, but he's just not doing anything off of that. And
Really starting to take and sap the energy, the rest of that energy that Jackson has here near the end of round 4.
You know, he's outgunned here. You know, he can't sit here and exchange punches with Tua because he's open, you know, expect to have a good day of it. He needs to be in the middle of the ring with this guy.
So they end of round number 4. We're halfway through this 8-rounder. Lester Jackson against the ropes in the black, and David Tua started out as a guy who started fighting at the age of 11, and from his dad, who wanted to put him in the ring and do some sparring. Didn't like it when he started, but apparently he likes it right now, and his dad certainly will.
Yeah, a lot of good fighters. Iran Barkley. So I don't think that a lot of us got whipped by our older sisters.
Tua again pushing and shoving with Jackson, where he has lived on the ropes here, particularly in the last 3 rounds.
8 plans. You know, Lester Jackson came out here with it, or did well in the first round with it, you know, boxing in, but since then, really, it's, you know, he just did kind of a fight, and he started leaning on these ropes, and David Tua has just been all over him.
Jackson, by the way, does have a couple of knockouts in his 5 wins, but both of them came early, one in the first and one in the third. So he is really threading on a little tough ground right now. As a matter of fact, he's only been 6 rounds once, and he lost that.
You know, to keep Tua off him, and he's not been very successful at all. And Tua's really...
Tua just starting to work himself up the ladder. Was going to have a 10-rounder today, never been, and was hoping maybe to get a little 10-round action today, but that was not the case, as Jackson, a late substitute at the weigh-in. Again, they cut it to 8 rounds.
You know, you can't just, you know, Lester's trying to fight off there a little bit and trying to give, just in a bad position there, leaning on the ropes there. He can't go left and he can't get back, so he's really just trapped himself in a, and here's
onto the rope with that off left hand. Literally holding on, trying to get a little air. Right now to it. He's picked a few spots, but not many as we end the 5th round. Well, let's see if he does anything differently in this, the 6th round, to try to get him out of there. Maybe do some more damage on him here. Oh.
Well, right now at the stage of his career, they're teaching him how to, you know, to change the speed of his punches. You know, sometimes he just pushes her a couple of times. Sometimes he slaps a little with the left hook 2 or 3 times. Then he really turns it over and puts slapping a little bit, and then he'll really dig his toes into the canvas and really rip some heavy shots. Lester Jackson over in the corner there. Jackson, you know, really at this point just might be looking to try to survive out of that corner as opposed to trying to win, although he kind of opens up out of there with a couple of... All he does is leaves himself open to some good, solid counter shots by...
On Jackson halfway through the 6th round, and again holding on to the ropes, and now here's Orlando. That's the second.
His fighter in there to really settle down, and then he lets go with a nice right hand. He pulls the string on it, and another. Lester Jackson fights off well off the ropes here for the 2nd time in this round, but it's just not enough to you know, doing. Oh, and he loops a right hand and stretches Lester's head backwards.
And long for Lester Jackson here with Tua doing damage. And on the ropes, See him pawing with that right hand. That good right, straight right again by Tua.
Another good right hand by David Tua turns Lester Jackson in there. A couple of straight left hands.
They brought to you by Corona Extra and Harrah's here in Atlantic City. Opens up the 7th round as David Tua opens up against Lester Jackson. Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola greeting you from it. We're in a different corner. They'll be right above us. Or probably the remaining. As Jackson has come completely across the ring.
Lester just pushing his purposes. He doesn't have that good mustard on many of them.
Some combinations. Tony Orlando again watching closely as a little flipping right jab thrown by Jackson again.
On David Tua. Lester trying to play a few mind games with David Tua out here, but Lester almost had Tony Orlando come in there. He'd warned him if he did that again, grab that rope.
Jackson fighting off the ropes pretty good. Good combination he was throwing.
Best round since the first round.
Here the crowd trying to get everybody into this fight. Jackson fans, along with David Tua's supporters here. Jackson has more than just Tua today.
And he's back there resting, and now David Tua is going to come on.
By the way, we might be able to sell that last photo a moment ago to Sports Illustrated of this fight. A touch-up in the center of the ring. How long will it stay in the center? Let's see. Lester Jackson takes one last good gulp of air, heads to the ropes, and Tua is right after him.
25 seconds to go in the round. I think he was about done, so let's see if he can do anything to keep David Tua.
Tua had come in after that, again, decision win over Wainwright with 3 knockouts. More than likely will not get one today unless some lightning happens here.
But Lester Jackson, you know, when he stays off those ropes, it's starting to... The 8th round here, well, just little pity-pat shots, but they get David Tua off of his rhythm here.
The thing about Jackson, too, when he turns with those big shoulders, he can knock you all over the place.
Lester had a game plan, and he wanted to do certain things. He wasn't really successful, you know, to keep that good right jab out there, and there again, he rests that arm on the... Jackson win this fight, but he's weak, man.
Well, rounds number 6 and 7, actually pretty fair. Jackson might have been close to another one in the 7th, so even though, keep in mind, back in the 3rd, there was a knockdown. Jackson went down in the 3rd, and then when he's crouched.
Yeah, he is, and, you know, he's back into what he wants to do, settling down there and ripping those bodies. You know, he's let Lester Jackson, Lester's, you know, trying a little bit here and got him out of his rhythm, but he's back into it and settling in here, finishing.
It'll be very interesting to hear the comments of Lou Duva, George Benton, and that of David Tua. As Bob Spagnola will go into the rings as we close down to the final 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. And Jackson's done exactly what he wanted to do. He stepped into the ring with undefeated David Tua. And Tua, for that part, has also punched the scorecard and done a good job as well, as again Jackson spitting that mouthpiece out after his 8 rounds and still jawing away with those working in his corner with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Harrah's here in Atlantic City, we've got the scoring, and here it is. Judges Stephen Weisfeld and Tommy Kaczmarek each scored 78-74, while Judge Rocky Castellani, he watched it at 79-73 for the winner by unanimous decision. And still undefeated, David, the Terminator Tua.
You know, really, first of all, Samoa and Momoa, first time we look for the man and Leo Tua, no, my Talon of Say Lava Mole, Knockdown. Well, first of all, you know, I'd like to say thank the good Lord, you know, for watching over the fight, you know.